You're listening to the Broadway Podcast Network. Visit bpn.fm to discover more.
Hello, I'm Jesse McAnally.
And I'm Andrew DeWolf.
And I'm Liz Eston.
And welcome to Musicals with Cheese, a podcast where I try to get Andrew and Liz to like musical theater. How are we doing today, guys?
Jess, I get to be the slave.
Okay, I'm not going to argue. All right.
So
All right.
Do I have to be the woman who can't read?
Yes, hold on.
Damn it.
So, I hear you want your freedom. I am in love with a woman that cannot read. That is about to be sold
Really?
by a captain. To
Jess,
a captain.
I'm not interested in you.
It's all right. You don't have to be.
I can get that woman for you.
All right.
And since women do not have rights,
They have left.
you could just marry her.
I have no choice in the matter.
I am a prop more than a character.
My main character trait is boobs.
The 60s. In case you haven't picked up what we're throwing down, which you probably haven't, this week we are covering Stephen Sondheim's first musical as composer and lyricist. A funny thing happened on the way to the Forum. Cue the music.
Something familiar, something peculiar, something for everyone, a comedy tonight. Something appealing, something appalling, something for everyone, a comedy tonight. Nothing with kings, nothing with crowns. Bring on the lovers, liars, and clowns. Old situations, new complications. Nothing portentous or polite. Tragedy tomorrow, comedy tonight.
So a funny thing happened on the way to the Forum is a musical written by Burt Shevlov and Larry Gelbart, with music and lyrics by the one, the only Stephen Sondheim. It premiered. Okay, we're applauding this dead man. It opened on Broadway on May 8th, 1962 at the Alvin Theater and then transferred to the Mark Hellinger Theater and the Majestic Theater, where the show closed on August 29th, 1964, 2 years later, after 964 performances and 8 previews. The plot is described as a non-stop laugh fest in which Pseudolus, a crafty slave, struggles to win the hand of a beautiful but slow-witted courtesan named Phila for his young master hero in exchange for freedom. Yeah, this is a classic, so to say.
Well, I watched this when I had COVID.
Yes.
So I got the full experience. I got the peak COVID brain experience. And honestly, the whole thing is a bit of a haze. But I listened to most of the music again. And I got the Sondheim of it all. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Did you... Okay, so I threw this movie and the stage show at you. And could you tell it was Sondheim right away? Because this is like him right out the crib, right out of like the world of West Side Story and the Mama Rose musical.
It's definitely not the same style that he would grow into, I don't think. But it still has a lot of his like Sondheim-isms in there, you know what I'm saying?
100%. And we kind of did this in a bass-ackwards way, because we did The Frogs, which is the only other time that Burt Shevlov and Sondheim collaborated to create something. And you can tell there is very much a tie between The Frogs and Forum. But also I think that The Frogs has much more to say, and that Forum is actually a funny show where The Frogs fails horribly at that.
Is it bad that I like the Frogs better, though?
No,
that might
no.
be the COVID talking.
It is not bad. It is just a little different. And that's fine.
Yeah, fair enough.
I
think that this was good, though. I think I like the Frogs more.
So what is the plot of A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to a Forum, Andrew?
Oh, Lord. I'm pretty sure what happens is this slave owner wants to marry some girl, so he sends his slave after her, and the slave is promised freedom, but then there's a bunch of wackiness that happens within that.
This is a broad, like, kind of sex comedy.
Is that close?
It's 100% close. You are not incorrect. It is a broad sex comedy where women are objects and men are kind of schlubs. It is like the Flintstones personified in a musical. Liz,
yes.
I can tell you have a lot of thoughts about just the general representation of women in this show. So I'm gonna let you speak on that.
For the context of the audience, I was having a mild amount of real world anxiety while watching this that had nothing to do with the funny way had made the forum. So my brain was a little foggy, not due to COVID, but due to life. But women are nothing in this but sex, and it's really annoying after 2 minutes. Like, there's a scene that's just the courtesans being sexy, and the joke is that the Nathan Lane alike in the bootleg was like, ooh, how sexy. This is so sexy. I love these ladies. And it's like, oh my fucking God, this is not funny. I get it. They have tits. Move on.
It is so long. It is so ridiculously long, too.
Not to mention, the only woman with lines in this, all her lines are do you think I'm pretty? Do I look pretty?
I'm going to disagree. I'm going to disagree. The wife character of Hero's mother.
Okay.
I think she's got a lot of lines. I think she's funny. I don't like the way that the story treats her, but I think she has
like shit.
Because, she's ugly. Why would I want to fuck her?
Like, the end joke with the husband is like, God damn, I gotta be married to this woman. God fucking damn it.
I wanted to fuck my maid.
I wanted to fuck the maid lady who's now gonna marry my son, which is gonna be super weird. So
there's an entire fucking song about how everyone should have a maid that they have sex with.
Yes. Everyone should have a maid.
That's the name of the song.
Also, my audience are gonna be way too loud for this, Andrew. I deeply apologize. I'm just semi-passionate about this.
No, be passionate about this. This is nearly 100 years old. Like, we are literally like 40 years from 100 here.
Yeah.
That being said, I can still see the Sondheim isms in this, and I appreciate it. Anytime a song starts, I really start to be like, oh boy, I'm going to enjoy it for a bit.
No, I had the same vibe. It was like, okay, Sondheim's here. Sondheim's writing song. I like Sondheim. I like the way he writes songs. And then the songs stop, and the women start talking, and the men start talking about the women more so, and then I get out of it again. And I'm like, okay, can we go back to the singing? Even the maid song. Like, bring me back the maid song. Like,
the book didn't have anything to say, really.
Yeah, it has nothing to say.
This isn't like the Frogs at all, even though it's very similar to the Frogs, oddly. Like,
who would have thunk that we were going to be like the big ones to die in the hill for the fucking frogs?
The Frogs, it's good, Just let it out, People.
The Frogs is currently playing a one-night performance in New York, and I wish I could be there.
We brought it back. I believe. I think we did it.
So this was kind of Sondheim's first big hit as a solo, like, I am the solo music and lyricist. And the show is a disaster at every point before Broadway. So during out-of-show town tryouts, basically everyone fucking hated the show. So much that the Jerome Robbins, who was originally asked to direct it and turned it down, begged, please fix this fucking show. And Sondheim said that a lot of the show was, this is Sondheim's quote.
Oh boy.
Oh god.
People didn't like it because there was too much male nudity. And then the show was taken away from the director there and given to veteran director George Abbott, who really didn't like the show and didn't like Sondheim and hated the opening number, which at the time was called a song called Love is in the Air.
Love is in the air, quite clearly, people everywhere act queerly, wives are at their husband's service, virgins are distinctly nervous, love is going around, anyone exposed can catch it, keep your window closed and latch it, leave your house and lose your reason, this is the contagious season, love is going around, it's spreading each minute throughout the whole vicinity, step out and you're in it with everyone involved, who can stay uninvolved, love is in the air.
Which, in George Abbott's fairness, is not a good song to start this show. I don't know what Sondheim was trying to do here, but it's literally a song like, love is in the air, most dearly, your love is in the air, or quite clearly. Like, I don't get how that would reflect the entire number. I don't understand how that would tie into this. But that was changed from a song called Invocation, which is like, gods of the theater smile on us, which would later be used in The Frogs as the opening for that. But George Abbott couldn't sing that song, couldn't hum that song. So they replaced it with Love is in the Air because Sondheim just wrote, basically out of spite, this song that, like, he's like, fine, hum this, bitch. And it was Love is in the Air. And then Jerome
You know what? It
Robbins
made the frogs better.
It did.
That made the frogs better, so it's all good.
But then Jerome Abbott came in and was like, what the fuck? What is this song? This song doesn't tell you anything about what the show's going to be. And he's like, yeah, George Abbott didn't like the song that I wrote about what the show was going to be. And he's like, well, then write a song that he will like that will tell him that. And that's how we got Comedy Tonight.
That's a good
So
song.
Love is in the Air is a Sondheim song that is lost and no longer in anything.
No. So that is a fun thing. It was brought back in the film The Birdcage, and it was sung by Christine Baranski and Robyn Williams just fucking around during that. There's a lot of unused Sondheim songs just thrown into The Birdcage for no reason. And also you can hear it in the Sondheim on Sondheim album.
Okay.
Okay.
So it didn't get thrown away. All
You
Sondheim gets
got
put to
Christine
use.
Baranski, which is good.
So can I get on this like really weird kind of, imagine I have a bunch of like red string behind me attaching things. So, as we covered in our previous episodes on both La Cage aux Folles and Sunday in the Park with George, Sunday in the Park with George and La Cage aux Folles were up against each other, and La Cage aux Folles is based on a French film called The Birdcage in French. So, it was written by Jerry Herman, who basically won the Best Musical Tony Award against Sunday in the Park with George, and said, hey, at least people like to hum our songs, motherfucker, as like a big middle finger to Sondheim. Then 5 years later, Elaine May and, oh God, what was the director's name? Shit. The director of The Birdcage.
Oh, for The Birdcage, the original production?
The Birdcage movie. So they made a film adaptation of The Birdcage starring Nathan Lane and Robyn Williams, and that is from the same source material as La Cage aux Folles.
Mike Nichols directed
Mike
them.
Nichols. And who do they get to bring in and write to basically bring in some of his old trunk songs for The Birdcage? Stephen Sondheim.
My God.
It is all connected and very stupid.
He's stringing up the walls.
Yeah, he
It's all
actually is
connected.
stringing his walls.
It is very,
As you can
very
see,
stupid.
The Birdcage directly connects to Stephen Sondheim, which is connected to La Cage aux Folles.
Connect to Mike Nichols.
And Elaine May, and then Robyn Williams, and then Nathan Lane, who plays in The Birdcage. Guess what he goes on to be in? The Frogs! And funny thing happened on the way to the forum. That would have been a better. You were better. You were better at that, Liz.
Thank you.
It's actually both.
He was in
It
both.
splits off. It's in both.
Yeah, it's a multiverse scenario.
There's two different
Chaos.
timelines.
I kind of love this show. I get every fault it has, but as a time capsule of what Broadway theater was in the mid-'60s, I love this show. And it is still very, very funny. A lot of the wordplay in the show is great. A lot of the sexual humor still makes me laugh like a 5-year-old.
Well, that's just because you're a sexist.
I don't think I am. I'm
No.
45% sure I am not.
I see where he's coming from. It is enjoyable for what it was at the time. It's just in
What's
a more...
your favorite joke in the show?
My favorite joke is when Pseudolus goes to, oh God, what's the Jack Guilford character's name? His little buddy, and it was like, hey, if you tell my masters about this, I'm going to reveal your pottery porn. And then he does all the poses of the pottery porn.
Jack Gilbert played Hysterium.
Hysterium. I think that joke's funny. I think every joke where just basically it's Zero Mostel like sweating and looking anxious is great. I think a lot of the wordplay jokes where he's just trying to get out of trouble by counting different, like he's like, he stole 9 pieces of gold and he tries to cheat him by counting indifferently. And just like the world that they live in and the situational comedy they get in through all their lives is very, very funny. Michael Crawford trying to get a horse to sweat is very funny. I don't know what to tell you. So me and Liz have a Jim Carrey podcast, and Richard Lester was the director of Finders Keepers, an early Jim Carrey film that is horrendous.
He was only in it took him an hour and 20 minutes for him to be in the movie, so you know.
How come I gotta go to Venezuela? Because you didn't have the sense to get killed.
So the reason why he directed the film is Zero Mostel, of course, who was the original Pseudolus, was given basically the choice of director. And he said he either wanted Orson Welles, one other director that I don't recall the name, or Richard Lester. Those are the only three directors he was allowing himself to use. I am so sad we didn't get the world where Orson Welles directed A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum.
Other directors considered were Charlie Chaplin, Orson Welles, and Mike Nichols.
Oh my God! Get the fucking right string!
What did Mike Nichols do?
The Birdcage.
Oh my God.
This show is
It
very
really does
weird.
all tie together.
I wish we kind of did more kind of broad comedy musicals like this. I think the last one we had in our lifetime is kind of the Book of Mormon.
Are you not counting things like School of Rock or something like that?
I'm talking like a little bit like sex comedy, kind of. I get things like Mrs. Doubtfire and Tootsie tried, but I think they outright failed.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, sex comedy, not a popular genre on Broadway.
It's
Definitely
not a popular
go there.
or genre at all nowadays. Like the days of the American Pies are kind of dead.
Maybe that's for the best. American Pie. I mean, there's a lot of deep-rooted sexism inherent to a lot of those movies.
I don't know. I think there's a lot of sex positivity in those movies, since a lot of the times the females are represented as the ones with the power, especially Alison Hannigan's character. Chris Weitz, who was one of the co-directors of the first American Pie, was very keen on making sure that the women were independent and like characters in and of themselves that have their own power and agency.
Yeah.
That was the first American Pie, though. Like,
Yes.
what about the
then
next
there's
8
like
of
American
them?
Pie Road Rules and American Pie. I don't know.
Those
Frat
don't count. I'm
Bro.
only talking about the first one.
Eugene Levy's in all of those. They count.
I guess. I haven't
They're
seen
all
any
canon.
of them.
They're all
I've
canon.
only
Eugene
seen the
Levy's
first
present.
one. Eugene Levy would actually be a very good Pseudolus. Could this show ever be revived? Is my next question. Has it aged
Yes.
so poorly that it couldn't?
It probably
work on Broadway?
will be revived, in fact,
will be
if I were to
eventually.
guess.
There's a lot of rumors that Josh Gad was considered to be a Pseudolus for a revival, which I think could work.
I mean, they're reviving the Frogs for one night, so it's going to happen.
Yeah, they're going to deep cuts.
If the Frogs it comes back, this is going to come back.
I mean, as far as Sondheim's oeuvre, like is this in the same world as everything else he's done, or is it so different?
I think it is very different, but it has the Sondheim name attached to it, and I think that's all that most of Broadway cares about. Especially the producers that are actually going to put money into a show.
Well, you're actually talking very smart, because the two current Sondheim shows on Broadway are Merrily We Roll Along and Sweeney Todd, which are selling the fuck out. Like, currently, Merrily We Roll Along was a huge flop, and now it is like $500 for like the worst seat in the house.
Yeah.
Yeah, literally somebody was willing to put the Frogs together for a night, like,
Yeah, just
and
makes
that
money.
might stick around. It's gonna stick around probably. They're gonna bring it back.
The only show they're not bringing back is Passion, and I'm the only one that likes that one.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna have to bring that one back.
Yeah, you'll have to do it yourself.
I'll have to do that one.
You can go and sit alone in the theater with a trench coat on and Pee Wee Herman it up.
I swear to God, if there's a show to not masturbate to, it's Passion.
Well, I mean, you're one to talk then.
Was there anything that you liked about this show?
Was there anything that I like? I mean, I didn't think the show was bad.
I mean, like, anything that really stood out? Like, was there a joke that stood out? Was there a specific scene that stood out?
Honestly, I liked the Freedom song. That particular song, Free, I enjoyed. I wish I had more of a memory of an exact moment that I really liked, but like most of what I remember is stuff like "Bring Me My Bride" and
The boring
like
parts of the
everybody
movie.
ought to have a maid.
The
And,
movie
like,
is. Can we talk about the movie for just a second?
yeah.
The
Yeah,
movie I
never.
respect for being weird as fuck, but also I hate it for being weird as fuck. It is embarrassed of being a musical so much that it cuts most of Sondheim's songs out. And then it also has some of the weirdest editing choices I've ever seen, where they will just include jump cuts out of nowhere, and it'll just be the most distracting thing.
I was already in a space where I was like dizzy and confused trying to watch the movie. And I was like, where are the fucking songs? Like, didn't Sondheim write a bunch of songs for this? And they just never show up.
That being said, I really do like the montage kind of storytelling with Comedy Tonight in the film.
Comedy Tonight. What a song. I find that song annoying. Yeah.
What? Okay. I was going to say we're going to talk about it later. Why? What's wrong with that song?
I don't like the melody of it. I don't like the Comedy Tonight bump. They do it too much. It's just over and over again.
So you would have preferred Love's in the Air or Invocation?
I definitely would have preferred Invocation because that song is a bop. I really like that in the Frogs.
Okay, I find that fascinating. You have, because if there's one thing that the general public does know about this show, everyone loves Comedy Tonight. In fact, my father was like, "Oh, I love that song," and it was like, "It's a Stephen Sondheim song." He's like, "No way, it's too normal."
Really, I don't like it that much.
It was like a hit on the radio. It was a well-known song. Jason Alexander
Why?
has sung covers of it. It is a very popular song.
Really?
Yes, it is like probably the most culturally lasting song from this show.
That's embarrassing.
And I'm sure Sondheim would agree with you. He rarely talked about this musical.
Invocation was way better.
I feel like Sondheim would agree with you.
The gods of the theater smile on us. Like that's classic.
That being said, how about we compare our opinions to those of the real critics over on Letterboxd.com? It's time for reviews.
No, they're not talking
God,
about
it's
the
gonna be terrible.
fucking movie, are they?
Yeah, they are, bitch.
Are they horny?
Okay.
They are not as horny as I would have liked. There's not much to be horny about in this movie. Like, are you really gonna want to fuck Jack Gilford or Zero Mostel?
Yeah.
What about all the
I want
women?
Zero Mostel to stay away from me. so-
Although Michael Crawford is very cute in this movie,
He's
to
cute.
his credit.
He's cute.
And also the dad from Willy Wonka's in this, and he gets beaten in the head by a mace, and it's great. All right, are we ready? Andrew. Oh, yeah.
I'm ready.
It's a Letterboxd game, 1 star, 5 star, where I'm going to read real Letterboxd reviews, and Liz and Andrew have to guess whether they're 1 star or 5 star based on just the review alone. All right, Liz, why don't you go first this time?
But my name doesn't start with an A.
Yeah. It starts with an A, but it's silent. It's Alice.
Alice?
You're absolutely Alice. I'd know you anywhere.
Alice,
No.
that's my name. I'm pretty sure my full name is Elizabeth, but you know.
Elizabeth.
Alice is short for Elizabeth.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Are you ready?
I'm ready, yes.
I like to laugh, but it's spelled Laff.
What? Okay. 5?
That is correct. Ding.
Sorry, I got a text.
All right, Andrew, you ready?
I'm ready.
NGL, this made me laugh a couple times.
Okay. They seem embarrassed about it. 1 star?
That is correct.
I'm clapping for myself now.
Slap them cheeks, Andrew. All right, Liz.
Ready.
I wish we still wore togas today. They look funny. That feels like an Andrew review right there.
5.
That is correct.
Not gonna lie, I would wear a toga. Like, they look comfortable.
Yeah.
It's just like wearing
yeah.
a blanket.
Yeah, you're in a big blanket.
Andrew.
Yep.
Pure chaos and nonstop dad jokes.
The way you say it makes it sound like it's a 1 star, so I'm gonna go 1 star, but I don't know if that's right.
That is a 5 star.
Ugh,
Liz.
tricking me up.
Yes.
First movie of the new year.
Ooh, what a bad way to start your year. 1.
That is a 5. Andrew.
Yeah?
Why is Sondheim's name on this if they only use like 4 source material songs?
He still used it. 1 star, though.
That is correct. Liz.
Yes.
Shout out to my theater class.
5.
That is correct. Andrew. Last one.
Yep. Last one.
I guess all the funny things happened on Broadway before they filmed.
Oh, fuck. That's gotta be a 1, right?
And that is correct. That is a 3 for 3. You guys tied this game. Great job, everybody. Speaking of great jobs, let's talk about our patrons in a mid-show.
Oh man, Liz, why don't you tell us about what Patreon gets you, and then I'll read all the names.
All right, Patreon. It's a site where you can support us financially a little bit. We got some cool stuff there. You can watch full uncut recordings of these podcasts where we just say stupid shit that gets cut out usually. There's an episode where we cut an hour of material, and you should check it out. It's so good. We got some commentaries. Jess and Andrew just did one of Dear Evan Hansen's. Very funny. And Jess and I host Patreon with Cheese. We got some stuff coming down the line, hopefully soon. So come join us. We got a Discord. It's a lot of fun.
All right, and our current patrons. Our current patrons are Melissa Goldman, Danielle Renix, Peasant Chick, Jess the Stampede, Ewan Cassidy, Monica Thoreau, Brent Black, Nathaniel Stacey Coop, Joseph Evans Green, Mary Lou Choquette, John Vanales, Russ Walker, Musical Hell, Emily Gracie, Kyle Summers, Janae C., Scoot in the Technicolor Dreamcoat, Liz Lim, Nothing is Certain Except Beth and Taxes, Thespian, Robert Benjamin, Jessica T., Mitchell Young, Chai Teacup, Chris Marcotte, Kiji Marie Anastasio, Trevi Joseph, Leela, RJ Noriga, Julia McLannon, Bjorn Hermans, Turiana Frazier, Sammy the Adequate Amount Jacobson, Liana Morton, Angela, Kaylee Blazier, Cinemageddon Reviews, Villainous Miss, Sophina Ali, The Omega Geek, Paige Pearson, Maddie Wargle, Eliza Erdman, Anna Loskatova, Sarah Den Blaker, Evan Ball, Zachary Torres, Rora Marasso, Mara Forloin, Liz L, Possessed Washing Machine, Nick R.O.10, Nick Row10. Yeah.
Jesus Christ, it's been so many weeks. We should know this by now.
Puffy Boy, Julia Hardy, Sydney Hicks, Anna Bell, Billy Clifton, Andrew Wright, The Red Caboose Kaboom, Gold-Plated Kikamora, and Julia Balder's Daughter.
They give us a little extra financial support that helps us keep the lights on here at Musicals with Cheese. If you would like to join them and give us a bunch of fun money, join them. Yeah. Also, we have merch. We don't promote that enough. We have a lot of cool merch that you can put our branding on your body, and then more people listen to our podcast. You know, I want to give our fans a task real quick. If you tell 2 people about our podcast and then tell them to tell 2 people, maybe more people will listen, and we'll be able to overtake musical splaining.
What do they get out of it?
Yeah, do you want to create a pyramid scheme with no benefits?
No benefit.
Wait, what's the benefit of pyramid scheme?
I guess the chance to make money in this case.
The idea is that you could make money.
Yeah, the idea is you could become financially successful. It's a pyramid scheme, so you don't.
You know what? If you send an email to 2 people telling them to listen to this podcast, Andrew will draw you a picture of anything you want, and that is a promise.
You know what? Actually, if you don't promise anything, it's not a pyramid scheme. You're just asking people to do stuff.
Asking people to reach out to your friends.
You know what? If you go to your entire contacts list and just send them our Spotify link without context, there's nothing saying you can't do that.
There's no laws.
There's no laws. It's just ethically a little weird.
You know what? Fuck ethics. Just do it. Send it to your parents and ask them to tell all their boomer friends about it.
Don't tell the boomers to listen to us, Jess.
You know what?
Listen to the show.
The boomers are the only ones with money.
This is a boomer-free zone. That's why we don't have any money.
All right, let's get back to the show. The boomers are the only one that fucking saw this show. How do you not like comedy tonight? I'm actually very baffled by this.
Something convulsive, something repulsive, something for everyone, a comedy tonight. Something aesthetic, something frenetic, something for everyone, a comedy tonight. Nothing with gods, nothing with fate. Weighty affairs will just have to wait. Nothing that's formal, nothing that's normal. No recitation to recite. Open up the curtain.
It's fine. It's more just I find the melody to be a little bit annoying, especially when they sing it a lot.
That being said, it was specifically written out of spite so Sondheim could give his director something he could hum.
Yeah, fair enough.
It makes more sense now.
I find sometimes when you write a melody that's very, very hummable, I find it gets annoying really fast.
I mean, Sondheim does too, and that's kind of the reason why I think Sondheim's musical lasts forever.
Sondheim's music generally requires, for you to be able to hum it, you have to listen to it like 3 or 4 or 5 times.
So Sondheim agrees with that. So I feel like I went into this in our West Side Story episode, but so when West Side Story premiered on Broadway, it was a flop, and the critics cited that they couldn't hum any of the songs. Right?
Yeah.
Then Fox bought the movie rights, and in order to promote the film, they played it on every radio station they could. And then suddenly, everyone knew all the songs and could hum them, and when the movie came out, they already knew all the songs. And as Sondheim says, like, yes, believe it or not, if you play them nonstop, you'll suddenly start being able to hum them.
It genuinely is like any song is hummable, even if it's like a nonsense song, as long as you've listened to it a fuck ton of times.
Like, you and I have covered, like, experimental musical. Like, do you remember, what is it? Institution.
I do remember Institute.
Yes. And I still hum some of those songs, if you would believe it.
If you listen to it enough times, you'll be able to hum it.
Truly, like, sometimes just the noises from that show will get stuck in my head. I feel like hummability is such a ridiculous thing. That being said, Comedy Tonight does get caught into my head where I'm just humming it on a bike ride very often.
Yeah, but if you do that too long, you'll get a headache.
You're not wrong. But Liz, what do you think about Comedy Tonight?
I like it. Like, it's not my favorite in any regard. I think I kind of agree with Andrew. It is kind of repetitive and annoying at a certain point. But like, it's a catchy enough song, and I don't hate it. It's like not my favorite Sondheim song.
I kind of can't believe that this was the runaway hit of this show. But I guess now that I'm thinking about it, like, what else would be?
Yeah, what else would be the runaway hit? The song about maids or the song about being a free slave?
I like the free slave song better.
I like that song a lot.
Before we get there, I do want to talk about how good Sondheim's lyrics are here. He is just kind of showing off how good he is at rhyming. Like, when it gets down to, like, the final, like, refrain, it is like, cunning disguises, hundreds of actors all out of sight. Pantaloons and tunics, courtesans and eunuchs, funerals and chases, baritones and basses, panderers, philanderers, cupidity, timidity, mistakes, fakes, rhymes, mimes, tumblers, grumblers, bumblers, fumblers, no royal curse, no Trojan horse, and a happy ending, of course. He is just showing the fuck off.
It's even funnier knowing he wrote that song out of pure spite. He's just angrily writing all these big-ass rhymes.
These incredible internal rhymes. And I feel like we didn't give him enough plaudits while he was alive. How fucking good he was at interweaving rhymes that you don't even, like, pick up on first listen. You actually have to, like, pick apart and highlight where the rhymes are. I went to, like, a little bit of, like, songwriting school, and they're very keen on, like, if you are going to rhyme, try to make sure they are not spelled the same way, because then it will be more impressive. And just looking at that, you cannot figure out where the rhyme is just based on the last 4 letters of the word alone.
Yeah, you have to actually, like, listen to it multiple times.
Yeah.
And honestly, tunics and eunuchs is probably, like, one of my favorite rhymes of all time. But let's talk about Free, Pseudolus's main song, and the one that was cut out from the movie for some reason.
Free! But when you come to think of such things, a man should have the rights that all others. Can you imagine what it will be like when I am? Can you see me? Can you see me as a Roman with my head unbowed? Sing it good and loud. Free! Like a Roman having rights and like a Roman proud. Can you see me?
I can see you.
Can you see me as a voter fighting graft and vice?
Sing it soft and nice. Free.
Why, I'll be so conscientious that I may vote twice. Can you see me? Can you see me? When I'm free to be whatever I want to be. Think what wonders I'll accomplish then. When the master master that I serve is me and just me. Can you see me being equal with my countrymen? Can you see me being Pseudolus the citizen? Can you see me being give it to me once again? Free! That's it! Free! Yes! Free! No, not so fast. I didn't think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't
There's
make
a
any
scene in
sense
the
if they
movie
would cut
literally where
this.
they start the song and then it just doesn't go.
Yeah, the song just
Great.
doesn't happen.
They're just like, oh, we're actually not going to do that.
It's such a good moment between Pseudolus and Hero, too, where it is like a call and response kind of moment.
I think that one of my favorite jokes, which I'm not even sure is really a joke, but I like that when the slave is like, when I'm free, I'll be able to buy my own slave.
I mean, that suits Pseudolus as a character, because he really is kind of like, he's like what you love in a character, Andrew. He is a con man.
He's just a scumbag. It's like, yeah, I mean, it sucks that he's a slave, but like when he's free, he wants to buy his own slave. Like, okay, I guess he doesn't see the ethics of it at all. He just doesn't like personally
it happening to him.
Yeah, he's like, I don't want to be a slave, but like,
But
I don't
want
know if
to
the
have-
system's broken. I'm not really sold on that.
I think this song is really good for an I Want song. All the jokes land in this song specifically, too.
I thought it was a good one. This is my favorite song in this show. Though there's admittedly not that much competition.
What'd you think of it, Liz?
I'm with Andrew. It's my favorite.
All right.
All the jokes land. It's really funny, and the dynamic is really good to like between the two characters, especially because like not to go back to the movie, but cutting the song just ruins their relationship because it doesn't feel like they have any rapport.
They seem to not like each other very much in the movie.
It's like Michael Crawford
why
is
would
like,
you
I
cut
fucking
the
hate
song?
Zero Mostel. I'd rather die than be.
I just don't understand why you would cut this song. Like, there's tons of songs that I would be like, yeah, I guess cut that, whatever.
Yeah, like the Maid song.
But this one?
The Maid
But
song
like this one?
is so good. You're wrong.
I actually think the Maid song should stay. I think the Maid song
Yeah,
is funny.
I'm just mad
But
at
before-
the sexism.
But before we move on to the sexist song,
Oh, it's mad sexist, but it's
It's so
funny.
sexist.
it is ridiculously sexist, but it's almost part of the joke. I do kind of want to talk about Lovely. Not
Okay.
because it's a good song, but because I love how in Act 2 it is totally destroyed.
I'm lovely. All I am is lovely. Lovely is the one thing I can do. Winsome. What I am is winsome. Radiant as in some dream come true. Oh, isn't it a shame? I can neither sew nor cook nor read or write my name, but I'm happy merely being lovely, for it's one thing I can give to you.
So Lovely is set up as like this beautiful like song about our lead heroine Phila, describing how her one goal in this world is to be appealing to the male gaze.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I am not allowed to read. I am not allowed to exist. The only thing I'm taught is how to be pretty and fuckable. But then in Act 2, we have Hysterium, as played by the really goofy-looking Jack Guilford, having to pretend to be Phila and describing himself in the same way. And it is so wonderful. And truly, that makes that first song worth it.
Maybe it's not sexist. Maybe they're making fun of sexists.
I think that there is an argument for it, but that being said, my Apple Music, like Music for You, always plays me the Jack Guilford Lovely reprise, and I don't know why, but I do listen to it every time it comes up, so I guess that doesn't help, because I find it very funny. Every time he's
You're
like,
just feeding it.
every
Feeding the
time,
algorithm.
You're causing the problem.
Yes. But every time he's like, well, don't you think I should get some jewelry? Like, it makes me fucking laugh. Or he's trying to sell himself as the most lovely woman in the world. That is the other thing. What do we think about Pretty Little Picture, which I think is probably my favorite song in this entire show and is often cut?
In the Tiber there sits a boat, gently dipping its bow, trim and tidy and built to float. Pretty little picture. Now, put a boy on the starboard side, leaning out at the rail. Next to him put a blushing bride, slim and slender and starry-eyed. Down below put a tiny bed. The sun gets pale, the sea gets red, and off they sail on the first high tide. The boat and the bed and the boy and the bride. It's a pretty little picture. Oh my, pretty little picture. How true, pretty little picture, which I so little us give to you.
It is cut out of the movie. It is only in the Broadway show. It is often cut out of the Broadway show, though.
Is it even on the Spotify
Is it on the version
playlist?
you gave us?
Yes, it is. I only like this because of Sondheim's lyrics. It is once again him just showing off.
Give us a rundown. What's the best?
Like, here's like probably my favorite lyric run in the entire song is next to him put a blushing bride, slim and slender and starry-eyed. Down below put a tiny bed. The sun gets pale and the sea gets red, and this off to the sail on the first high tide. The boat and the bed and the boy and the bride. Pretty little picture. Oh my! Like right there's like 500 rhymes right in the middle of the phrase, and
Well,
Nathan Lane just
enough.
says it so quickly. Like I was like drunkenly kind of stumbling over that, but he is just going through it so fast, and you don't pick up how many things are happening at once there. I truly think this song is my favorite and the one I revisit the most.
You just love the Sondheim like master classes.
I really do. I love it when he's just showing off. Which is also strange because one of my favorite Sondheim shows is Passion, where he's showing off his melodies more than his rhymes. But here, when he's just actually just like, let me show you how good I am at what I do, it's wonderful. But that precedes Everybody Ought to Have a Maid, which I think we all have thoughts on.
Everybody ought to have a maid. Everybody ought to have a working girl. Everybody ought to have a lurking girl to potter around the house. Everybody ought to have a maid. Everybody ought to have a menial, consistently congenial, and quieter than a mouse. Oh, wouldn't she be delicious, tidying up the dishes, neat as a pin? Oh, wouldn't she be delightful, sweeping out, sleeping in? Everybody ought to have a maid. Someone who, when fetching you your slipper, will be winsome as a whippoorwill and graceful as a grouse. Fluttering up the stairways, shuttering up the windows, cluttering up the bedroom, buttering up the master, buttering all around the house.
I think it's funny. I think it's fine. I don't think it's like ethically good, but I don't think it's supposed to be. Is this character supposed to be like a good guy? I don't think he is.
Like probably the most ethically horrible character in the show.
Yeah, so I feel like him singing a funny song about how he thinks everyone should have a maid that they have sex with is kind of funny in a way.
But Liz, you've got opinions.
I don't like the contents of this song, obviously, but within the context of the whole show, I don't hate it. Like, this guy sucks.
Yes.
Like,
and the show knows he sucks.
The maid woman immediately and's like, okay, I'm gonna have sex with you. Like, without even, like, giving it 2 seconds of thought. Like, obviously this man is horrible.
'Cause his wife is so quote-unquote ugly.
His wife is very ugly, so he needs to have sex with a pretty lady. So the song makes sense in context. It's very similar vibes, I guess, kind of to I Don't Understand the Poor.
From what musical is that?
Gentleman's Guide to me.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that's what I kind of got at a certain point. It was like, oh, okay, I kind of see where this is going. This is incredibly sexist and I hate the contents, but it kind of works with the character singing it because you're not supposed to agree with him, so. But it's a really bad song. It's also sexist. It's both.
But I love the fact that in the revival cast with Nathan Lane, it is Nathan Lane and the gentleman that played Pumbaa and the Lion King all singing the song. So it sounds like Timon and Pumbaa convincing this guy that he should fuck a maid. A maid!
Can someone make fan art of that?
I feel like there should be an animatic
Lord.
of this and just making the Sinex character Simba.
Musical
Do that
Cheese fans,
animation.
I have a request. Please make fan art of that.
But once
we'll
again,
never get any people to animate our stuff.
no. I will say people have brought up like, how is there not animations of this? I feel like we lend to animation fairly well.
Yeah.
Yeah, just we don't have any fans that want to animate because all of our
Yeah.
fans are musical theater people.
So that means they have no talent.
No, it means that their talents lie elsewhere.
I think the only animated thing we have is when I animated Andrew's head in the Peter Pan video on YouTube to show he was flying around the room, but it was just a circle of his head flying around a room.
Okay, not bringing up unrelated things. I rewatched the beginning of our prom video so often where it's just Andrew in an empty gym dancing like crazy, saying even if he was tricked into going to an empty gym, he would have danced anyway. It was so fucking funny. And the squeaking you add in to his feet on the gym floor, it is so great.
Did I have
10
a
out of 10.
squeaking? I think
You
I
did.
I don't remember. I did? Wow.
Yes.
I was very
No, the
detail
squeaking
oriented
came
back then.
for free.
I do
Yeah, I
want to
think it might
say
have
this
been
is
the green screen footage.
this is another song of Sondheim showing up. Who would have thought to rhyme delicious and tidying up the dishes? Like, he is so good at what he's doing here.
I have such conflict about this entire song. I can't even put it into words.
Like, I understand the conflict. I like the song in context, but they do sing it at a lot of Sondheim, like, cabarets and reviews, and I don't love it there.
Doesn't have the context anymore, and now it's just like maybe
Two dudes in suits singing the song.
It's just two dudes singing about how everyone should have sex with a maid.
I don't need Josh Brabant to sing about having a maid.
Oh, everybody ought to have a maid.
You know he'd do a great version of it. Though.
He would.
Hugh Jackman would do great.
Hugh Jackman does have a maid.
Everybody
He
ought
does.
to have a maid.
He probably had an affair with her. So.
No, Hugh Jackman would have an affair with his butler.
Or both.
Fair enough.
You heard him and his wife are getting divorced, right? I
Yeah,
wonder
maybe
why
he's having an
that's
affair
happening.
All his kitchen staff. We don't fucking know.
He's fucking his chef, his maid.
Yes, chef.
Let's talk about Bring Me My Bride, which I don't like this song. It is a weird Act 1 closer.
My bride, I've come to claim my bride. Come tenderly to crush her against my side. Let haste be made, I cannot be delayed. There are lands to conquer, cities to loot, and people to degrade. Look at those arms, look at that chest, look at that. Not to mention the rest. Even I am impressed. My bride, come bring to me my bride. My lust for her no longer can be denied. Convey the news, I have no time to lose. There are towns to plunder, temples to burn, and women to abuse. Look at that foot, look at that heel, mark the magnificent muscles of steel. I am my ideal.
I hate to bring this up, but it was weirdly similar. It reminded me of Bluto from Popeye.
Yes!
Yeah.
Where it's just a deep voice man being like, bring me my woman.
Bring me my bride.
My bride,
I like Bluto
my
from Popeye,
bride.
God, Popeye. I miss when we talked about Popeye. That was excellent.
We should do more things like Popeye.
That was nuts.
God, that was such a good Broadway con
I
choice,
almost
though.
watched that in the hotel room too, and I'm glad I didn't.
All right, Bring Me My Bride. What'd you guys think?
It's just Bluto.
I don't think I can add anything to the Bluto comment.
Yeah, it's fine.
It is a weird
It's not
Act 1
good.
closer, though. It's like, why this? But whatever. I feel like this show is so, like, nothing.
It is such a lame ending, especially because they do a much better version of this in the funeral sequence.
Yeah, but they're
Yeah,
saving
they
that for Act 2. You gotta sit back down. You gotta sit your ass back in that chair and watch
And
that.
that's right after the Lovely reprise with the crossdresser, so you know.
I love that. I love that moment so much, but the funeral sequence has some great lyrics where Bring Me My Bride just keeps going on, and it never ends.
Well, it ends eventually because they give you an intermission at least.
Yeah,
That is your gift for sitting through that fucking song.
I remember being very confused when intermission started. I'm like, wait, that was the Act 1 closer?
And then Act 2 really doesn't have any songs worth talking about aside from the funeral sequence.
Oh, and the lovely reprise, which
There were lovely reprise, but we talked about that. That is like the highlight of Act 2. Act 2 really kind of goes downhill. And in the movie, they make up for it by like adding a 45-minute chase scene. That chase scene felt like it would never end, right? I'm not the only one that felt that.
You're not wrong.
I kind of forgot about that because I was so fucking hazy, but you're fucking right.
Okay, the first time I ever watched this, it was with my family on Christmas because they gave me the Blu-ray because they're like, yo, you like Sondheim, and I'm 5 or whatever the fuck age I was. And we just fast-forwarded through the chase scene because we kind of felt like it was going to go on forever. And boy, we were right.
You like Sondheim, right? Here's one Sondheim song with a 45 minutes of sex joke.
You love Sweeney Todd. Here's a funny thing happened on the way to the forum. They are equivalent.
These are the same thing.
Same thing.
That being said, Andrew, it is time to add a funny thing happened on the way to the forum to your Sondheim tier list ranking.
Oh boy.
If we don't remember, because a lot of people just check in whenever they have an interest episode, what is your current ranking of Sondheim musicals?
Let's see. A tier, we got Sweeney Todd, probably the one I shouldn't say.
The Mama Rose musical.
The Mamma Mia musical. And Into the Woods, I think is what that is. Okay.
Yeah.
In B tier, we got Merrily, Sunday in the Park, Company, Follies, West Side Story, and The Frogs. And then in C tier, we got Passion.
Pacific Overtures.
Oh, no, Pacific Overtures. How did I put Pacific Overtures above Assassins?
You really didn't like Assassins. Like, the consistent thing is you always said you didn't like Assassins.
I might have to switch it though, because Pacific Overtures is like nothing.
I disagree. Pacific Overtures has like 3 of the best songs Sondheim ever wrote.
Okay, fine. We'll keep it. Pacific Overtures.
No.
Assassins.
You keep that where it is. You move where you feel you need. But I think Someone in a Tree makes Pacific Overtures great. But yeah, I can't force you to change whatever you want to change.
All right. Assassins, Pacific Overture, and Passion. And then in D, we have
Evening Primrose.
Evening Primrose. I remember there was a rose in there. I couldn't remember what the fuck that one was called.
Is there anyone you want to change? Because I feel like Merrily above Sunday and Company and Follies is really wild to me.
Merrily under Sunday, and then Follies above Sunday.
Oh, okay? That is actually a very big change. So it's now Sweeney Todd, Mama Rose, Into the Woods, Follies, Sunday, Merrily, Company, West Side Story, Frogs, Assassins, Pacific Overtures, Passion, Evening Primrose. This is actually the most changing you've ever done to a tier list ever.
West Side Story is going above Company.
Okay. That is so... You have not changed this much of any tier list we have ever made. Why? What do you think has changed so much?
I think they were maybe unordered before. I think I might have just put them in the tiers.
I've questioned you before in previous episodes. In the Frogs episode, I know I did.
I think I've changed my mind on some of them.
All right, where does Forum fit into this list?
I think Forum goes below Assassins.
But above Pacific Overtures and Passion?
Yes.
That is actually a very fucking wild choice, honestly.
Where would you put it? Below Evening Primrose?
I would put it The thing is, Sondheim has done mostly good things. So it's very hard to argue things where it's like,
that's the problem with the Sondheim tier list is like the only tier that has like only stuff that I didn't like is D tier, and even that is like not even that bad. It's just kind of like meh.
Yeah. Like everything here is good.
This is like it's like a ranking from top tier to mid tier basically, and there's no like bottom tier stuff.
You know what isn't on here that should be on here? Dick Tracy.
Oh, how did we not rank Dick Tracy? Do I rank Dick Tracy as a musical or do I rank it as a movie?
Both. Kind of like a middle ground between them.
Okay. Fucking, I gotta put Dick Tracy at the top of B then, if that's the case, because I love that fucking movie. I mean, as a musical, like it doesn't hold up, obviously, because there's not that much. But
right.
I would rather watch Dick Tracy than almost anything else in B tier. I'm sorry.
Really? Above Follies and Sunday and Merrily and West Side Story and Company and the Frogs. I'm actually surprised the Frogs is so low.
Dude, Dick Tracy fucking slaps, bro. I'm sorry. You're gonna sit me down and you're gonna be like, hey, do you want to watch Follies or Sunday in the Park with George, or do you want to watch Dick Tracy? I'm gonna be like, let's watch Dick Tracy.
I am actually very happy for context, everybody. Into the Woods was an episode that we've recorded twice, and it's like one of 3 episodes in our entire like discography that we've ever done.
We totally botched it the first time, so it's fine.
It was our 50th episode, and the first time you just didn't understand the themes of that show, and you were just kind of fighting me on every point I was trying to make with that show. You're like, no, I don't see it. And then I was like, all right, this is no way a 50th episode for us. So we re-recorded it, and you rewatch the show, and you're like, yeah, I see it now. My bad.
Yeah, we totally botched it the first time. So
same with our Godspell episode. Actually, our first Godspell episode, we just fought it was not fun fighting. It was like actual like people arguing, and it was not good to listen to. But what is our overall thoughts on A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum and our cheese rating? Andrew, you're first.
All right. It's fine. Like, it's not peak Sondheim by any means, but it's definitely Sondheim. I think my problem with it is that I didn't really find that much funny in the book, whereas I liked some of the songs okay.
I agree.
So it's kind of like I'm only here for half of it, and that's why the movie was particularly bad. Because the movie just didn't even have the songs. It was just like, nah, we're just not doing that. We're just gonna do the kind of mildly funny sex comedy thing, and that's it. And it's like, okay. But really, it's fine. It's Sondheim. Once you get to the songs, it's all good. Definitely some weird sexist stuff though, but it is a sex comedy, so what are you gonna do? I'm gonna give it Romano cheese because Romans, haha. I think it's Romans. They're not Greek, are they? I hope they're not Greek. If they're Greek, I give it something else. But we're gonna pretend they're Roman.
I'm gonna pretend. All right, Liz, what about you?
I'm conflicted. It's perfectly fine, but it's also glaringly sexist in many ways. And most of the women characters are nothing but sex objects, and half the jokes are about how women are dumb, and it's weird. But the songs are pretty good. And some of the jokes in the songs are pretty good. Even the stupid sexist maid song, which kind of works in context. So I'm conflicted. It's fine. It's Sondheim. Like, I'm inherently going to like it already because it's Sondheim.
I mean, that's not always the truth, but...
I mean, I haven't seen enough Sondheim. Like, I just watched Sunday in Park George last year. Like, I'm very behind.
Did you cry?
Just go watch Evening Primrose and you'll be like, oh, I guess I don't always like it.
That's true. Maybe I'll just watch Evening Primrose later.
You know what, Liz? Maybe we should do a commentary on Evening Primrose. Maybe that would be a good watch.
That might be fun, yeah. Yeah, it's fine. There's a lot of Sondheimisms that are obviously enjoyable, and the performances are fine, if, like, all, like, cringy in some regards. But I don't know. Would I recommend it? I have no idea. I don't know. I'm conflicted. I might need like a week to work out my thoughts. So we'll see. So I'm going to give this a Roman cheese called Marzolina because, I don't know, it's not Pecorino Romano, and that's the only other one I could find. So
that's fair. I have a soft spot for this show. I know that it's not quite aged as well as it probably should have. But you know what? I still enjoy it every time I watch it. I like the cast album more than I actually like watching the movie or any recording of the show. Because I agree with Liz, like, there's not many roles for women. However, that being said, I should have prefaced this. There have been productions where Pseudolus was played by a woman. Famously, in the Broadway revival, Whoopi Goldberg played Pseudolus, and did a wonderful job and was very, like, highly praised for it.
Okay, I would have liked that, yeah.
Where I think a lot of lesbian interpretations of Pseudolus have been very interesting to watch and given a lot of power to that character that was not there.
Respect it.
So that being said, I'm giving this a luscious Puel cheese, which is a very expensive cheese. And truly, I think you should check this out, give it your own taste. But honestly, the way I think you should embrace this show is watching it at a local theater production. I think that is the most healthy way to digest this. Watch your friends and family try to put this on, and it would probably be a lot of fun to watch. And also, this is some of Sondheim's most like, I'll fucking show you. It's his most hungry lyric writing. It's the most like, I'm going to fucking show these people how good I can be. And that being like, that is a rare thing. Like outside of West Side Story, you don't really get that. Like, I need to prove myself. So I think that's an interesting way to view Sondheim's career at this point. That being said, you know who else needs to prove themselves in their careers? Oh, wonderful patrons. Thank you guys for listening. Please follow us on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, and Musicals. Stitcher doesn't exist. Oh, no. Only iTunes and Spotify. We're on Twitter at Cheesy Musicals. We're on Patreon Musicals Cheese, Instagram Musicals Cheese, YouTube page Musicals Cheese, Patreon only podcast, Patreon Cheese, email us at musicaltheaterlizardcheese@gmail.com to tell us how wrong we are about shit. Our keeper of the cheese is Juliet Antonio, and this is for you, Juliet. Something peculiar. Something for comment tonight. This show is edited by Andrew DeWolf, and he's doing a great job. Our themes were created by Robyn, Nash of IOU Music UK. Thank you to the Broadway Podcast Network for having us on the platform and for not kicking us off for not having enough comedy tonight. All right, guys, do we have anything left to say before we move on?
I gotta go get a maid, apparently, so...
Everyone ought to have one.
Yeah.
Everyone ought to have a maid.
Honestly, maids are great. I had a cleaning lady for the first, 10 years of my life, and she was one of the nicest people I ever met, and I loved her, and I still do. That being said, we'll see you next time on Musicals of Cheese. No royal curse, no Trojan horse, none a happy ending, of course. Goodness and badness, man in his madness. This time it all turns out alright. Tragedy tomorrow, comedy tonight.